Leonard had always thought of himself as a good person. He was polite, worked hard, paid his bills on time, and stayed out of trouble. His friends described him as dependable. His co-workers said he was easy to get along with. In his own eyes, this was proof that he was doing life right, that he had avoided the pitfalls others stumbled into. But one evening, something happened that shook this image apart. It was at a small family dinner. Nothing special, just his parents, his sister, and him. His father made a passing comment about Leonard's job, something teasing but harmless. At least it should have been harmless. But something in Leonard snapped. The words that came out of his mouth were sharp, venomous, almost foreign. His father's face fell. His sister stared. Leonard didn't know where it had come from. It was like another person had spoken through him. That night, lying awake in the dark, he remembered the look in his father's eyes, not anger, but shock. And beneath that, hurt. The words replayed in his head like a broken record. He didn't want to think about it, but he couldn't stop. It was the first time he realized there was something inside him, something he didn't control, didn't understand, and didn't want to acknowledge. Over the next few weeks, the incident haunted him. He began noticing little things, flashes of envy when a friend succeeded, moments of silent judgment when someone made a mistake, the way he sometimes wished others would fail so he could feel better about himself. He had always pushed these thoughts away, telling himself, "That's not who I am." But the more he tried to deny them, the stronger they seemed to grow. One afternoon, while browsing a secondhand bookstore, Leonard's eyes landed on a book of Carl Jung's writings. He opened it randomly and read, "Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is." He froze. It felt as if the words were speaking directly to him. That night, he began journaling. Not about his day, but about every thought, every impulse he would normally hide. He wrote about the anger he felt toward his father's constant teasing, the jealousy he felt toward his sister's stable marriage, the resentment he felt toward co-workers who got more recognition than him. It was ugly, and it terrified him. At first, he wanted to burn the pages, but then he realized this was his shadow. This was the part of himself he had buried so deeply that it only came out in moments of weakness, exploding without warning. Over the next months, Leonard did something most people avoid their whole lives. He began to confront this darkness. He started meditating, not on peace or light, but on discomfort. He asked himself hard questions. Why do I get jealous? Why do I crave validation? Why do I want control? And the answers weren't simple. They traced back to old wounds, being the quiet child who always had to be easy, the boy who learned that showing anger meant being scolded, the teenager who swallowed every insult just to keep the peace. His goodness had been a mask, one that hid his resentment, pride, and fear. The more he acknowledged these parts of himself, the more he noticed something strange. They began to lose their grip on him. One day, his father made another teasing remark. Leonard felt the familiar spark of irritation, but instead of snapping, he took a slow breath. He understood now that the irritation wasn't just about the joke, it was about years of feeling underestimated. And instead of lashing out, he calmly said, "Dad, sometimes those jokes hit deeper than you realize." His father looked at him, surprised, then nodded. "I didn't know that. I'll be more careful." That conversation would have been impossible months ago. Leonard came to understand that the shadow isn't the enemy. It's a messenger. It reveals what we've refused to face, what we've denied in ourselves. To integrate it is not to become dark, but to become whole. To stand in the light without pretending the darkness doesn't exist. By making peace with his shadow, Leonard became more grounded, more honest, and paradoxically, more compassionate. He no longer judged others as quickly because he recognized in them the same hidden battles he fought within himself. Years later, when a friend confided in him about her own buried anger, Leonard told her something he had learned the hard way. The shadow doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It waits. It grows. And one day it will speak for you if you don't speak to it first. And with that, he realized, confronting the dark side within wasn't a one-time act. It was a lifelong conversation.